Hello, everybody, and happy Saturday, November the 29th. We are nearly into December, and whoa, Mercury is stationing direct today. But I don't think we're out of the chaos, and I'm here today to talk about the Gemini full moon on December the 4th later this week. It's quite the whopper, and it's followed by an also whopping Sagittarius new moon. So on December the 19th, which is astounding. And so you want to pay a special attention to the degrees of this new moon and where you are aspected. Now, all of this is aspecting me a lot, so I am kind of like, but it's okay because I know how to kind of work with it. And in fact, I did walk my 2 miles to my boxing class this morning, and it was a longer boxing class than usual. We did 10 rounds of boxing instead of 8, and every muscle in my body's aching because I did the 10K on Thanksgiving morning. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Immense gratitude to all of those that sponsored me for that. And then I also went to my gym yesterday and did some weight training, which I usually do twice a week anyway. And then I did this boxing this morning. And so after I record this, I'm going to go and collapse for a bit. But anyway, I pulled 2 cards for this new moon. Sorry, full moon. It's a full moon. And I'll go into the full reading at the end. But I'm from the Witch Oracle deck. I pulled the Companion, which seems very apt for Gemini. And I also pulled the Four of Blades, which is like the Four of Swords in other decks. Now, most of you who kind of know the tarot a little bit know that the fours are usually a number of stability, but the blades or swords suits, are usually kind of more challenging as cards. So anyway, just yeah. All right. So, gosh, I'm going to share the chart, and yes, I have got quite a lot of extras on this. And I'll talk about why in a minute, because all of these energies are talking to me. But first of all, I've highlighted that we have, here's the moon, 13 Gemini, the sun at 13, Sagittarius. Incidentally, this is where my moon is at 12, and my Jupiter's at 14, and my Pallas Athena. So I am like, oh, everything's aspecting me. But anyway, this is not about me. And this full moon is exactly square the lunar nodes. So I'll talk a lot about that, but I just want to point a few other things out. So Saturn is now direct, as you can see. Mercury is now direct, but Mercury is coming up to trine Saturn in, what is it? Oh, I just want the arrow. Oh, that's better. Oh, okay. To trine Saturn and Jupiter and perfect that water grand trine for the last time. The water grand trine that has just been so powerful. I'm just going to close a few windows. I think I've got too many windows open here. So it's just been, kind of a crazy time. Okay, so anyway, so let's go back to that window I'm sharing. Okay, so it's a little less glitchy now when I've closed a lot of windows. Why are they not closing? They'll close in a minute. All right, so you can see that this is an almost exact, like 40 minutes apart, mutable grand cross on this full moon. So that makes it powerful also. It's also at 13 degrees, so we'll look at the numbers. But some other things I do want to point out is this here is Uranus North Node. So it's actually conjunct the North Node of Uranus. Planets have nodes just like the moon does. And I was fascinated by Mark Jones wrote a book about planetary nodes, and in fact, I might go and listen to it again because Uranus North Node is it's kind of like the planet on steroids, if you like. And the North Node, of course, is the ascending, what we're moving towards. Okay. Now then, I was like ping, 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 because not only is my moon here, so it's conjunct Uranus North Node, we also had a Venus star point. Oh, on June the 4th, 2024 at 14 Gemini. So this full moon is really activating that star point that was there. And this is another point that is bringing some radical shifts and changes and awakenings. Okay, so that's just adding to everything. I also felt the nudge to add in asteroid Circe. I haven't looked at her for a little bit. She is the literal witch, to go back to the witch oracle. And of course, 13 is the number of the witch. And sure enough, here she is at 13 Cancer. So she is aspecting all of this as well. Semi-sextile to the moon, a quincunx to the sun, and a sextile of opportunity aspect to the south node, and a trine, a flowing, unbroken flow aspect to that Pisces north node. And Circe is sitting on the sun of the USA on this full moon. So I thought, no wonder I was kind of had that nudge to look at her. So we'll talk all about that. This is a really witchy new moon, but full moon, not a new moon. I also was like, I wonder what asteroid chaos is doing, because mutable full moons can be quite chaotic. Mutable energy can be quite chaotic, but especially when it's making a mutable grand cross, there's a lot of like not knowing which way to turn, a lot of decisions to be making, and all things like that. So I'll talk more about that when I talk about all of this. But chaos is here, and she's conjunct Hygeia, which is preventative health. So what that kind of tells me is that pulling those pieces of chaos together within yourself is the way to move forward to create mind, body, spirit, holistic health. Okay, so it's all about balancing that nerve, vagus nerve within you again. What else did I want to mention before I just go on and talk about everything? Well, we do have a pile up here. I talked about these in the weekly forecast as well, but we've got Juno and Hecate both conjunct by 3 minutes. Hecate, goddess of the crossroads, and Juno, sacred contracts with everybody and all that is. So this is saying this is the way forward, the sacred contract within yourself at this crossroads and with everything. It's realizing that we are in contract with everything, really. But this is the way forward in Sagittarius, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. And what else did I want to mention? Ceres has moved to 3 degrees, so she has moved off her station degree. She stationed direct right after that Scorpio new moon, a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, so we'll come back to it. I'll probably share it on and off the screen, but I want you to just listen to the message too. Okay. So let's look at 13 first of all. As I mentioned, 13 is generally known as the number of the witch, but it's thought to be unlucky because women demonized all the time, right? But anyway, but it's also a number of transformation and rebirth. It's the death card in the tarot, but it's 13 is really linked to the cycle of creation, destruction, and rebirth. Okay. So it's a blend of a 1, which is leadership, independence, and ambition, and 3 is creativity, communication, and expansion. And that makes a 4, which is associated with the planet Rahu in astrology and signifies a need for discipline and hard work to build a solid foundation. That's the South Node. The 13 can represent challenges that require individuals to move beyond their comfort zones. However, those who embrace its energy can achieve significant success, innovation, and transformation. So I love this site, ridingthebeast.com, for numerology. They talk about the 13 and how it's been presented by different cultures and so on. So 13 is, according to Riding the Beast, is the number that cleanses and purifies. It's also said to bring the tests, the suffering, and the death. It symbolizes the death to the matter or to oneself and the birth to the spirit, the passage on a higher level of existence. It's also, lots of Christian things, but it's also said to be the number of the Virgin Mary, so the divine feminine again, and really it's related to the actual cross because, it's 1 plus 3 is 4. So anyway, so I just wanted to read a couple of other things. It's really very related to astrology, because we have the 13 as a wheel with 12 rays around the center, which is just like the astrology chart, right? I'll say. So it's also said to be the number of the eternal return. The 13th hour is also the first, and so on and so on. So it's said to be the manifestation of the good or bad generating power, according to R. Schwaller, and it's the number representing the Son of God, according to Abellio. But of course, I think the Son of God is the Son, literally. Okay, we are all children of God. Anyway, you've kind of got all of this. There's loads of you can go, and if you just Google ridingthebeast.com 13, you will find the page of all the mentions of 13 in the Bible. But the sacred cord of druids had 13 segments. The 13 is the number of skies for the Aztecs, for example, as well. Anyway, it's quite a powerful number. Okay, so I'm not superstitious. I don't think it's unlucky at all. I love the number 13. But there's lots of other kind of things about the 13 on their site. Maybe I'll try and remember to put the link in the description below so to take you straight to it. All right, so what does all this mean? Well, first of all, let's have this mutable Grand Cross that we're talking about, because the mutable Grand Cross is, it's square to the nodes for a start. So any square to the nodes is a big turning point. It's called the bendings. It's also in a natal chart called a skip step. It's something that's brings a bigger kind of challenge. Okay. And there's a great article in Llewellyn.com journal about the mutable Grand Cross. And I always like to read this kind of summary of this one. So the mutable Grand Cross reflects the process of aligning with information, Gemini, where the moon is. And remember that Gemini moon is conjunct Uranus. So this is like innovative, aha moment information, right? That is founded in natural laws and truth, Sagittarius, and adjustment, Virgo, of outdated viewpoints and opinions that are not based on universal timeless principles, Pisces. In other words, as we seek to understand the human journey in a holistic and universal sense, our viewpoints and perspectives naturally shift to reflect this evolution within consciousness. It has been described as the process of moving from the microscope to the telescope. So that is kind of the nutshell of this mutable Grand Cross. And it's pushing us more towards that Pisces North Node of that, timeless principles and faith and trust and so on and so forth. Why am I can't seem to be able to speak today. But this is about the totality of creation itself. And I don't know about you, but I've just been my whole perspective of how the cosmos and the universe has expanded and shifted exponentially and hugely in just a very short space of time in the big scheme of things. Well, this full moon and then the following new moon is going to expand that even more. It's going to expand our whole sense of meaning. Okay. So we are seeking this ultimate meaning in that Pisces North Node. And here we have this moon conjunct Uranus North Node on this full moon, which is going to bring in more kind of information that makes our heads explode. I'm going to say, I think the information that comes in that makes our heads explode will change our perception just crazily. This is nuts. I'm just looking where Uranus South Node is actually, by the way. Oh, they're actually opposing each other this time. So the South Node is conjunct the Sun on this full moon. And that one is saying we're going to feel this in our core. Old beliefs are going to be shattered. And we are going to go, this isn't right. This does not work for the natural law and this sense of meaning, ultimate meaning that we are seeking in our consciousness and that we are being crazily awakened to. And because it's at 13, I'm going to suggest that this is a lot about the awakening of the divine feminine in all its forms, in all of us. It's the awakening of that, honoring intuition, vulnerability, feelings, create that creative, fecund energy within all of us. This is not just about women, but it will be about women as well, to a degree, of course. But it's beyond that. It's beyond biological gender as well. It's just this bigger picture of really kind of us kind of integrating, because that's the other key. Having this full moon on Uranus nodes of awakening to what we need, old beliefs and ideas that we need to leave behind are I've lost the thread of what I was saying. Is just going to it's going to be like flipping a big switch in many people as we approach this full moon, especially if you have energies aspected by this, like me with my moon opposing Jupiter. It's just like my perceptions of everything just shifts every day at the minute. It's kind of crazy. And then, having Circe, the literal alchemist witch, um, uh, on the moon of on the sun of the USA at 13 Cancer, aspecting all of this, is the USA is going through a collective awakening as well. So, but I don't want to make it all about the USA. But let me share the chart one more time, because I know a lot of my viewers are in the USA, but so I've talked about, in the week ahead forecast, I talked about the angles, and the midheaven is being squared by this, and the North Node is on the midheaven, which is the public visibility. I think people are going to start to see the USA's awakening. We're having more and more. One Republican lawmaker is going to vote against redistricting in their state because our apparent resident president used the word retarded to describe Tim Walz, and this representative has a Down syndrome child, and just that was beyond the pale for that person. There's another Republican going to leave Congress and not run for re-election. They're things are starting to turn, but also, things are starting to turn for all the people. There's a really interesting article this morning, apparently, I don't know when the article was published. It may have been a couple of days ago, in the New York Times. It was a kind of an op-ed by James Carville, who's always been a bit of a centrist thorn in the Democratic Party, and he always gets attention. He's a bit divisive, but he said, no, at this moment, if the Democratic Party want to grow from what's happening, they need to come out with a really strong populist economic message and go big or go home, a bit like Bernie Sanders. James Carville has never supported that before. This is, another changing perception. It's kind of insane because, well, anyway, I don't want to make this all about politics. So, this 1313 on these nodes is just astounding. I will also say that Pallas Athena is aspecting this full moon as well. And she's that wise owl. She's that strategist. She's pulling the pieces together and helping us to create this new story for the good of all the people, and so on and so forth. So let me see if there's anything else I want to say. Well, I could go on and on, but this, this is going to be a real turning point. Full moons on their own are real kind of releases, and it's what's going to be released under this full moon, as both the sun and moon shine the big old light on this breakthrough information of all kinds. We could have new scientific discoveries in this time, or we could have some real kind of light bulb moments that just go, and this is going to change everything. The fallout from this full moon is going to be amazing. Old beliefs, old ideas left behind, new ideas coming in, but also new connections, new alliances in Gemini. Gemini is not just about information. Gemini is also about, what was that card that I pulled? Companions. It's about companions, but it's also about information, data, facts. Gemini is generally about the rational, empirical, and logical component, or left brain. And Gemini reflects the function within the consciousness that gives labels and classifications to the physical environment. But all of this is so restless. All of this is just so movable, and it's it's just crazy, this full moon. It's going to be a major turning point. A, because it's on the bendings, the square the nodes. It's the moon wobble at the same time, which is when the sun squares the nodes. This is often that when the sun squares the nodes twice a year, um, some quite groundbreaking events often happen. Sometimes in the form of accidents, like plane crashes and things like that, but I'm not going to predict that necessarily. But this is really kind of just so much change. I cannot emphasize it enough. So be open to change, be open to new information that can change your perspective. Be really open to kind of downloads, kind of aha light bulb moments, and be really open to how the information that comes your way or the events that come your way can just really turn your life around. This is an amazing full moon. And some of it, to go back to where I mentioned the Venus star point that was on June the 4th, 2024, began back then. So about a year and a half ago. Something about that began then is going to change. All right. So I don't know when. When did? I'm just checking. Oh, he actually announced his run at the end of 22, but that wasn't June and July, around the time that Biden stepped down, Harris stepped up, and the whole camp, everything shifted and changed. Something's coming back from that time. Okay. So, all right. I want to read the symbols and then we're going to go for the cards. And, I'm going to say that that's all I need to say about this full moon, because it's just everything's going to change. Okay. Anyway. So the Sabian symbol is a really interesting one. So there's two ways of saying it. Most people call it a conversation by telepathy now. Rudyard said it was bridging physical space and social distinctions. Two people communicate telepathically. So, James Burgess, in his article about this degree, this symbol, says that this is about transcendent connection. At higher levels of consciousness, non-ordinary techniques can be accessed at will. Exceptional connectedness and rapport. A subtle realization can emerge as we escape the bonds of ordinary life and live as though dancing to our own inner melody, that the bonds are illusory, that separation itself is an illusion. Building on this understanding and trusting intuition more and more, we notice that we tune into others, especially equally advanced ones, to the level of mental rapport that rises to telepathy. We can even know what others cannot imagine is knowable. Wow. So maybe some of these aha moments are going to come from intergalactic kind of downloads or something. I don't know. It's huge. Okay, so going to John Sandbacher's symbols. The Omega symbol is the sound of drumming brings everyone into the present. That's transforming responsible, he said. So you're always aware of what's going wrong with communication what's not getting through, and you can be very persistent in continuing to try to hear others and make yourself understood. Steadily, you seek out the blockages to communication and try to understand them. And as you do, your connectedness becomes richer and stronger and progressively more healing to both yourself and others. It's also got this degree angel called Jaliel, which is recapturing the sparks, love, and wisdom. Now then, the Chandra symbol for this degree is a sorcerer materializes an amethyst cross. The cross signifies the present moment. Remember, the 13 is related to the cross. Okay, one of the crosses lines symbolizes the past and the other the future, and this is a grand cross, right? Where they cross being the now. The amethyst signifies clarity of mind. In the Omega symbol, the sound of drumming brings clarity of mind gradually, whereas in the Chandra symbol, the clarity of mind happens instantaneously. Either way it happens, this symbol can wake others up and help them to see everything in a fresher, clearer light by merging with the present moment, which is the place of freedom, power, and release. Wow. And I just want to read his other two symbols. He says the Pleiadian symbol, which is kind of his channeled Sabian symbols, is deep in a cave on the moon, a dreamer dreams of prehistoric jungles. And the Azoth symbol is journeyers trekking through mountain snow. I'll let you kind of think what they mean for you. I actually want to go, because this all feels so big. I just want to see what Elias Lonsdale wrote about this symbol. Okay, so Elias Lonsdale. Oh, there it is, Inside Degrees. Okay. He wrote the book Inside Degrees about these symbols. So 14 Gemini. Elias Lonsdale wrote, a sorcerer materializes an amethyst cross. Laws are made to be broken. Limitations are kept in place so that those who are not ready to go through radical changes in evolution will be able to locate themselves. But then there are those who cut through every limitation, break every law by the sheer power of their inner gaze, their presence, their magical will. When they cut loose, worlds that have been kept apart flood together. This is a force of awareness that seeks to bridge, to mediate, to connect, to bear messages back and forth. A mission or great task is involved to let the future flood through and repolarize the fractured world toward wholeness. A sensibility made up of equal parts daring and skill. The daring is afraid of nothing and nobody. The skill embodies the daring in action, a perfect combination to catalyze and spark and make inevitable the cosmic forces, bringing their imprint to bear upon the outer physical existence, just as though that is what we do around here. And why not? Wow. Oh, amazing, all of this. Okay, so I'm going to go to the cards, but I forgot to ask you to hit like, subscribe, all those things. And I did actually forget to mention that I have the YouTube membership for $9.99 a month, right? That now gives you access to the spiral weave, which is for paid Substack subscribers, for YouTube members. It's a private membership link you will get for free if you become a member on YouTube. And my once a month Ask Me Anything call and other things will take place in the platform I have where the spiral weave is located. So I started the YouTube memberships, and I just didn't really quite know what to do with it. And then I was like, I really want to integrate my paid Substack subscribers with YouTube members. And then I got this new platform, and here we are. So that's how it's going to be linked. So if you want to support my work and have access to the Ask Me Anything call, which is always on the first Thursday, I'm going to do a mid-month tarot post as well, video for members, and you get 10% discount off consultations and classes and things, other things like that. Please consider supporting my work by becoming a YouTube member. Thank you. Okay, so first card, the Companion. They're a bit shiny, they're a bit hard to see, but your body, like a cauldron, holds the energy of what you put into it. Are you putting shame, diminishment, or rejection into it, or acceptance, appreciation, and adoration? Science would have you believe your body is an experiment. Religion would have you believe your body is a sin. A witch would have you believe your body is a marvel. A cauldron of celebration, home to spells of delight, healing, and wonder. Your body is a sacred companion. She is the one entity that will never leave you during your journey as a human. She is always working on your behalf to restore, heal, and create the balance that allows you to fully participate in this life. She is kind enough to let us know when things aren't working, where we need help, relief, or assistance. That kind of loyalty deserves devotion, not diminishment. Shed the weight of expectations. Trim down the thoughts of too much and not enough. Dance like your hips move mountains. Put some magic of unabashed self-approval in your cauldron and witness how the steam of that self-esteem wafts out into the world, passing on permission for other women to feel the same about their unique shape. A witch understands that liking herself and her body, just as it is in a toxic patriarchy, is an act of rebellion. Be a rebel. I love that. So I talked about all these perceptions and things changing and aha moments. About yourself is one of the ways things will change under this as well. Four of Blades. I am withdrawal. This is rest a while. As you can see, she's up. Drop the card. She's wearing a blindfold here, and the four swords or blades are coming into that butterfly at the center. Another theme of transformation, but you can also see that in her body, that circle there coming into her core. Okay. So this is saying really that find or make your sanctuary that will help you to rest and clear your mind. Eat and sleep well. We all need time out to rest and release the wounds of our heart and mind. This is really a time to, well, I think any time is a good time, but this is a real good time to just withdraw a little, spend some time alone, maybe have a little bit of a tech break, take a day off, of being on your phone and all the things, and spend some time in nature, pondering, or just lying on the couch with your eyes closed and let those mind-blowing ideas come through, okay, under this full moon, because it is amazing. And one last thing I do want to talk about is, oh no, bear with me, that's not it. I want to share the chart again. because that's another thing of the mutable Grand Cross. It's all about coming to the center, really, of those four things. But I did want to mention that this is on the fourth as well. So these fours of this cross are really kind of potent. I pulled a four card. 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 is like the number of stability. You know, 4 legs on a table, 4 legs on a chair, and things like that make them stable. So you are coming to center, and your first and most important companion is yourself. Okay. Oh, I tell you, guys, we are in the birthing canal now, fully. Well, we're pushing out of it into this new paradigm that is just going to be so different, and more people are waking up every single day. So, and you are too, more and more expanding consciousness. It's just a different world we're moving into. So enjoy, even though it feels rather chaotic. Love you.